firstly recognize the risk and have a look at the culture of the organization and see where's the most important part to address. I mean, it's a bit of a gap analysis really, but once you recognize the risk, it's easier to see whether you need to focus on your staff and your staff awareness. And I think the very nature of lockdown and maybe future working where staff might be physically dispersed means you need to think how you're going to communicate with your staff, how you're going to securely give this awareness out, how you're going to share infographics and posters, how your online training might work. So those are key things. The other side of it, of course, is to look at your IT. You know, where is your data? Where is your systems? What is it that the fraudsters are after? And ensure that the business processes around movement of money is solid. And again, you know, that goes back to the culture to a certain extent. So this is all down to internal processes. What's the authorization process and double check process for these kind of transactions. Thirdly, looking at your IT systems. Depending on the size of IT system you have and whether you have IT staff there, certainly making sure that your backups are robust, they're working, and they're not attached to the computers you're backing up. You know, I've unfortunately had to deal with some of our customers who've been hit by ransomware and realised their backup services weren't working properly and lost a lot of data. You don't want to be in that position. It's best to prepare for these things. So question, how well are you backing up your systems? Do you test those restores to make sure if you need to get the data back, you can get it back quickly and keep your business running? Making sure that the mobile devices are encrypted and secured. Again, people do lose tablets and laptops, and the last thing you want, even if there's a password on, if a fraudster can take the hard disk out and read all the data, read all your emails and everything that's on there, that's not good. That's a very straightforward thing to do. So there's questions you can ask of your IT team, individual or supplier on how those things are secured. Make sure that you just keep everything up to date. One of the easiest ways and the most common ways that fraudsters do get onto systems is to take advantage of known vulnerabilities. They're often not very complex, these fraud scams, and they're taking advantage of things that are published already in the public domain, which may well have standard patches, security updates for. Certainly on Windows, you'll see those, and Chrome and Firefox and a lot of the other tools and bits of software that people use on their PCs and laptops. They're all subject to regular security updates. If you do those as they arrive, you'll keep yourself secure. That's a very straightforward thing to do, and even the most non-technical people would be able to configure their PCs to do that quite easily using the Microsoft help screens. Along similar lines, making sure that your antivirus software is up to date. Those are very straightforward things. A lot of these ideas and points I'm raising here are detailed quite succinctly on the NCSE website, and I'd suggest that charities do have a look at this. This is a National Cybersecurity Centre. There has been a focus there for the last year or so on the not-for-profit sector and helping them to become more resilient. There is lots of good material on there, lots of good awareness material. Some of it is written in a very non-technical way, so charity IT leaders and certainly the charity trustees can understand what's required. And from the smallest organisation to to medium to large charities, there's lots of useful material there. There are lots of good papers on the ways of addressing some of these risks, some good infographics as well. That'd be quite useful to share amongst your staff so they can understand the part that they actually play in helping to secure an organisation. So slightly changing that culture of trust to one that's a little bit more cynical, and that's going to try and protect your donors and your donors' money, try and protect the funds that you're collecting on behalf of your charity and your campaigns, and being a little bit more wise to some of these fraudsters out there. The reality is, if a fraudster has problems getting through, they generally will just move on to the next, and they won't waste too much time where they find they're not getting any traction. And I think what we would try and do in CAF, and we've been working with the National Cybersecurity Centre and some other suppliers as well that are providing free services, free materials to help charities' awareness of these risks. Just trying to improve that so that we see less and less fraud affecting the charity sector in the UK.